episodes, but for how long have you been doing this for? This has been going on a second.
January was the start of it, and then February I dropped the first episode, and then since then they've just been kind of running. I had maybe a week break for the entirety of it.
Yeah.
I try to do like
two. Busy, bro.
Yeah, I try to do 2 a week. I don't drop them 2 a week. I kind of have a backlog. So we're like, this is episode 40. I only have 32 out right now.
So you've got that on the back burner stuff where you can still, so you're not scrambling for material.
Exactly. I want to kind of try to catch up and be more.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Based, just so when an event happens, it's not like I'm talking about it a month later. I'm talking about it the week of, kind of thing. Yeah, just stuff like that. It's a fun journey there, man. It's made me it definitely makes me look. I edit it, so I'm watching myself speak the whole time.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I'm used to it though, because we do films. We've done short films.
Yes. So you guys are used to
critiquing
yourself and going through. I know what you mean.
Well, it's just different because it's actually me just speaking out my thoughts and stuff instead of me being an actor or depicting something else.
I know what you mean.
So I gotta look at myself quit being a fucking idiot. So it's cool. I get to learn about myself while doing it. So that's the fun part, at least. A lesson in it.
Glad you guys are doing this. That's too cool.
I'm excited to get you here, man. All right, let's do this thing. Oh yeah, just make sure.
Yeah, get that.
Good. You want to do the count? Just do 3, 2, then the quiet one, and then you can do the action.
All right, 3, 2, action.
You talking to me? I'm talking to you. This is Talking to Me, Talking to You. And I'm joined by Harry Pedigo.
Will, thank you so much for having me, bro. This is excellent.
Thank you for coming on, man. Really, thank you for doing this.
I've been trying to catch up on the catalog of episodes you have out already, man.
Yeah.
It's a blast watching them, man.
Dude, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I really do. I'm glad you watched them.
Well, my favorite was old Justin Chambers. I've known that guy for years, and it was cool to hear him. Justin is always unfiltered, but I felt he was more unfiltered than usual, which is what I want to hear. I want to hear.
It is, especially because, he's just so... He says some things that I don't necessarily agree with, but I love that he says them out loud because it's just he just his whole self, He doesn't have that filter.
I think he says what we all have on our minds.
Yeah, to a certain degree. I questioned him on one thing. I'm sure you've seen it. I was like, so why do you think this though, Justin? Why are you so fast to act like that? And he's like, oh man, I just don't really give a fuck. And I'm like,
I feel you, man.
It's a perfect answer.
He's a modern day Shakespeare, isn't he?
Oh yeah, I called him. What was it, the Modern Day Cowboy? Is that what I called him? Yeah. It's funny.
Something else, man.
But dude, no, thank you for watching, being a fan and stuff. I'm a fan of you. I've seen you perform twice now. Dude, you are kind of born bred Southern Ohio, man, and it really shines in your music. You have a lot of it seems like you do a lot of historical storytelling.
Yes, absolutely, man.
Through just things that's happened in this area.
100%.
The valley of Ohio and West
no
Virginia.
Doubt.
And shit like that.
You get that too. Did you grow up in Brown County?
Yeah. So
you're tuned into that, that river,
a little bit,
river heritage,
a little bit, yeah. Because I ended up moving. I lived in Brown County, but I also lived up in Warren, and then in Claremont a lot, and just that area. So I moved a little further up north, where the valley starts to disappear.
I know what you mean.
A little bit, you know what I mean.
But you get that, as somebody who grew up. It's got that, that old time, river culture and all the strange, kind of a little bit of an Appalachian, vibe with some of the folklore and weird ghost stories you hear as a kid, and just it's a super historical area. And you're right, it lends itself to stories for sure.
It does, and I've learned more about it in recent years. I don't know if you've seen. You said you watched the podcast, but I've told a story about living in a cabin out in Manchester.
No way, dude.
Yeah, man, I was there. It was kind of almost like an isolation thing.
Dude, it's really strange you bring that up because, I've met a lot of people who live in this area, but very few have experienced that cabin thing. I just recently moved out of a cabin in Brown County, and very few people get how bizarre that is.
It's different, man.
We didn't have heat in the main cabin, or air conditioning in the main cabin. I had a little add-on to it. But, in the middle of two neighbors in a 5-mile
it's
perimeter.
just you, man.
It was very strange. I mean, you get that, and it's a strange thing you bring that up.
A little bit, and I lived near the town of Manchester.
Yeah.
But it is though, because we were up on a hill, like you know how it is out in the country, man. Neighbors aren't really like in your business as much. Right. So I wrote 2 movies while I was there.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah, we wrote 2. Me and Caden wrote 2 movies while we were there. So that's just
that's wild,
man. That's a cool story about.
No, well, you're right about that. It kind of lends itself to that. When I was living in this little cabin outside of Ripley, Ohio, it was the same thing where it just it sort of forces you to find
self. Like look in.
Right, introspection, and also just it lends itself to creativity too, like you were saying, for sure.
Yeah, very much so.
Did you guys have Wi-Fi out there?
Yeah, we did have Wi-Fi, but that was the only thing. So I didn't have cell service. So I had Cincinnati Bell, which is like a Cincinnati city-based cell service. I had that super cheap, so I wanted to keep it. But I just used the internet.
But you didn't have any cell service.
Yeah, so whenever I went outside the house around that area, I couldn't make phone calls and stuff. So it was a very isolated situation.
It's trippy, man.
It was trippy. It was very cool. But back to the music though. So you have you tell stories of I had one. I actually have a video I'll pull up. Perfect timing. So
let's pull it up. We'll get.
So
where's Jamie at when we need him?
Yeah, I know, right? I'm Jamie and all these other people. So, but this video, and I love this footage that you used.
Oh yeah, the old Hell's Angels footage.
So I read into it said you said in the description you said something about a story of what was it? It was about somebody that was traveling on a Greyhound.
Yeah, I remember this is funny. This is actually I wrote this album that this was off of. Dylan Is Dead.
Yeah.
In that cabin.
Oh, so this is from the
cabin sessions, bro.
This is awesome.
And I can't remember what there was a narrative behind the whole album, but it's kind of it's kind of lost a little bit on me. I know there was stories about traveling, stories about traveling as a metaphor for personal change or something like that.
Yeah, like growth.
Yes,
growth.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
But this one was about. I just like those old that Gene Autry and Roy Rogers and Hell's Angels and shootouts. Outlaws that's just such a crucial archetype in country music, man.
Absolutely, and because I watched a few of your videos. They're all themed in these cool past-timey, looking back, but dude, you got a whole old school vibe about you, man.
Thank you.
Very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, that stuff. You see that in I don't know. I've always been a huge fan of Steve Earle in songs where they kind of they set it in the past. And then as the narrative progresses, it's either comes back to the future, kind of tying in that old cultural thing with the new.
Okay, yeah, that's very cool. Very cool.
I wish there was more of a narrative this video, man. I know
it works though, because you said there's a little bit of that story realm to the traveling and stuff, but you're just showing Hell's Angels and people on horseback. It looks like a lot of chase scenes and shootouts. It's all that same feeling, as someone that makes film, dude. I mean, yeah, it nails it for the feeling.
I appreciate that, man. I don't think I've ever watched this video with anybody. I remember I put this out at the beginning, maybe February or something of this year. And that album came out last year in 2020, but it's almost kind of you're just tripping on violence. It's kind of what is going on.
Well, I love that, man, too, because that's right up our alley of films. This stuff right here, the breakout bar scene fight and the chasing shootouts.
Yeah, dude.
I love it.
I like that. That was this is my favorite riff off of that album. That it kind of has I don't know, I don't want to say I'm such a Led Zeppelin fan, but I feel stupid comparing anything I do to vaguely Led Zeppelin kind of.
It's definitely
anything.
I wouldn't consider it country per se.
Right.
It was more in the folk section, a traditional like what you said, Bob, Dylan's Dead.
Yeah.
So it's more of that songwriter style.
Yeah, you're right. Kind of that post-folk kind of thing where it kind of taking some of the elements here, and
punk folk.
Punk folk, exactly,
perfect.
dude.
Outlaw Country.
Outlaw Country, no doubt, dude.
Another name.
That was fucking dope, dude.
It's a killer thing. It really does showcase your vibe and shit too, man. It's very cool. So I kind of want to get into like the first time I met you, like, cause like, so you have like a cool aesthetic with your music and like what you bring, but dude, your vibe just in general was super cool. Like you have like super high energy, like we were talking about before the podcast, dude. It's about turning it on, man, and you're good at that.
Back at you, bro, because that's something we were talking about, like entertainers. It's kind of turning that on and off, but when you're around people like yourself and with the folks we got to see it, Noah's like Crooner Circus and the winery, just good people, man. It's good.
Yeah,
it helps you kind of it just gets you excited, dude.
Yeah, because you really take in what it all is. Because without all those people and individual creatives, like none of this would really exist, and we wouldn't get to experience it or be influenced by it ourselves. Yeah. Which is what that is. I mean, a lot of the stuff you see along the walls, I mean, dude, it's all been inspiration from like that was the first Root Fest I went to.
First Root Fest, and there's the latest Funny CD, right?
Yeah.
Soft pack.
Signed by all the boys.
Wow,
I actually helped demo that CD out. That's a very untold story. I don't really talk about much, but I helped them demo like 6 songs out, I think.
No kidding.
In my basement, yeah, and they took it to the studio and Joe Beers just turned it into magic, man.
You're kidding, man.
And they re-recorded it all based off of the sounds that we caught in the basement.
Dude, that had a vinyl release too, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I have the vinyl.
Josh is such a neat guy, man. Because we both, get to hear his various side projects like Rootbound and wow, dude.
Seeing the funnies. This is designed actually by Caden.
No kidding, Caden. You crushed it, dude.
And then there's this little piece right here, which has got all the
song lyrics and credits. At this. Oh, it's so cool. I've never seen the vinyl version to this.
And the Smoke Break song is actually named after me because I'm Smoke Break.
No kidding,
I used to be their merch guy and used to go on smoke breaks. And they'd make fun of me for it. So I got a little charm on the album.
That's too cool, man. That was a great release, Soft Pack, brother.
It was a good one, man. And
wow.
So speaking of like stuff like that, so this is just part of that, man. Like going out and experience. I seen these guys at that first Root Fest.
No kidding, dude.
Yeah, and I didn't even meet them there. I actually just met one dude and then met them through that guy over a course of like 6 months.
It's so crazy, man.
It's weird how life works, man.
It really is,
It's
man.
very cool, and I just love to experience things and just putting yourself out there to do that.
Yeah.
It's the step one.
Sure. You're right. Well, everybody's got a story to tell.
Yeah.
If you kind of find if you find the people, everybody's got something to get off their heart or chest, and it's cool to interact with those people in a neat way.
And that goes into like the Crooner Circus, like that's all that is. That's like. What does Noah say? Noah Smith, that does the Crooner Circus, by the way.
Yeah.
He said, I can't remember the phrase. Let the stories tell, like let the songwriters tell their stories and shut up. Yeah. Something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, he did say something like he's got. What's his tagline there?
Yeah.
Song about songwriter, or a session or a show about songwriters and their stories.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, which is such a cool thing. Oh, do you know it? Good?
Oh, it's let the songs speak.
Let the songs speak.
Let the songs speak. Okay, yeah. Either way, no, shout out. You do a good job with that, man. At that show, you played a few of your songs.
Yes.
And then you had your sister come up and play with you. That blew my fucking socks off. And I swear to God, dude, I was like sitting there listening, and like you have a very cool classical folk sound, and your sister is trained classically.
That's right, yeah.
With cello, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
So that, dude, it just like really emphasized on your sound, I think, and like I don't know, it just gave me them goosebumps, man. When
she's pretty cool,
feel
man.
Something in a room and like just everything's happening right. I got that feeling from that performance.
100%. Yeah, she's my youngest sister. I got another sister named Catherine who also plays classical music. She plays classical violin.
Okay, yeah.
But that was the first time we ever played together, Grace and I.
That on stage?
At Crooners, yeah.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, that was crazy, man.
You did that?
Yeah, we were.
Please tell me you got like a plan to get your
yes, dude.
A band going like.
We've been doing a little solo deal, or a little duo thing. Grace and I've been playing like kind of a dark folk, Southern Gothic kind of set.
Yeah.
At some of the more low key venues. And we just finished recording an album over at Hamilton. and she was on. We recorded that track that we played at the Crooners.
Okay.
So that should be coming out soon.
Very cool.
She did a phenomenal job. Super talented.
So you have a new album coming in the works?
It's coming out. There's an indie label in Ontario called Old Mill Productions. And so there's a CD release. Really looks freaking cool.
I do want to get into one album that it was most recent when you did Death Lore.
Yeah, Death Lore, dude. That was. I wish that had better recording quality, but that was fun,
dude. Okay, I'll say this, man. I was I've seen you perform a few times, and know you as like a generally like a more folky. I've said this like 3 times now on the phone, but that's what I thought. And then I heard that, and I was like, this sounds like a soundtrack to a horror movie. It's like, I was just very unexpected first off, and I was like, but it's so like creatively like good, man.
Dude,
like,
thank you, bro.
Like it was just such a different sound. Like I was completely like
that had all that ambient stuff on it, didn't it? Like the 2 giant like ambient tracks.
Yeah, the instrumentals.
Yes, dude. With the little synths and stuff like that.
Yeah. So how much of that did you have into that whole process?
As far as like
all the, like the instrumentals.
That was all me, all recorded by me, which was I wish I'm not. Well, I don't need to be in any sort of role as an engineer in any way.
Well, dude, I'll give you some credit there. It sounded good. I mean, it sounded like decently mixed and mastered.
That,
like
brother.
You got out what you were going for.
Yeah, dude.
I think. It was 4 songs, right?
Yeah, it was 4 songs, and they were all. That was the one where they were all like super long. It has the first one's like what's it called? Like None But the Wild Birds Left to Mourn or something.
Which I love your song names. They're big and explanational.
Dude, where that kind of came from was when I was in that cabin, and it was the winter of 2020. I wanted to do an ambient all synth project.
Okay, really?
I wanted to do it with. Have you ever listened to I'm like a huge like metalhead.
Yeah.
And I listen to like a lot of like Norwegian black metal and extreme music.
I kind of got like your logo.
Right, exactly.
Reminds me of that stuff.
Do you ever listen to like dungeon synth music? Like it's super nerdy, but it's
so. No, I don't. But I have relative things. So like I'm into like super like I love what are the movies that we watch, Caden? That we liked with the synth soundtracks.
Yeah, 100%.
That's all ambient synth, and like that's like one of my biggest like movie.
Oh, I love it, dude.
Trends.
Well, those dudes in Norway, they got this whole dungeon synth thing where it's all like the theme of it is all like being in a medieval castle, and this is what it would sound like. And
it's synthesizers.
Exactly. And so my concept for that was I was trying to put together my own version of that, and so all of those the 2 synth tracks on there that made it on were like repurposed melodies of Appalachian ballads. So None But the Wild Birds Left to Mourn is a line from the song Pretty Polly.
No shit.
That riff is kind of, improvised Pretty Polly, but in a really weird way, yeah.
That's some depth in the inspiration.
When you're living in the cabin, Will, you
dude, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
You do, man, because that's all you have to think about when you're there.
How are we gonna make this Norwegian Appalachian project, bro?
Oh, dude, that's exactly how it is. Because we're working on this film right now. It's gonna be like a 30, 45-minute long film.
Oh yeah.
We've been working on it for about 4 or 5 months. We had a bit of a break that we had to take. We had some production problems, but man, we wrote it in 20 days in the cabin. We wrote it in 20 days, literally because I didn't have nothing to do. We wrote this movie in 20 days. It was like 38 pages long, and we just been working solid on it for about 6 months almost.
Dude, that's gonna be so. What can you tell of anything?
So yeah, I'll give you like the thing. So I call it like a crime noir.
Yeah, dude.
Right. So it's a crime noir. It's a very I'll try to explain it without giving too much. It's like this. The story is about this journey through the night that like follows these 3 characters into this guy's like crazy vivid plan, because he has his entire plan after this.
You kind of think it's initially just a robbery.
Yeah.
But it gets like so super spirals
sinister.
Out of control.
Yeah, it's super sinister. There's a lot of background story. There's a lot of untold in the movie. So like it's kind of like piecing it together yourself while you're getting told it.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
You're almost like in the perspective of the two, because there's the one robber who's like reluctant kind of.
Yeah.
And then the girl. So you're kind of almost like witnessing the story be told from their point of views.
And the main villain is kind of still very mysterious in his.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is the main antagonist is with you the entire time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the gist of it, is like,
that will be spooky as hell, man.
yeah, and yeah, I mean that's basically the most.
That's dope, dude.
I've said that much before, so that's okay.
That's okay. I got you.
But the rest of it, man, is like it's mostly like the movie and like the tell of like what's going on, and it really is like a wild thing, because it's so misdirectional.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to misdirect completely, and also like the first 10 minutes are so high paced and high energy, like you don't really know like. The peak, you've already hit the peak, it feels like.
Right,
so like
exactly.
what else is gonna happen, you know? And it just keeps kind of going through that cycle of like slow to fast, to slow to fast.
And I kind of like that too with, one of my favorite authors, her name's Donna Tartt, wrote The Secret History and The Goldfinch. And she does it a lot too, where she'll have like the initial scene is like here violence and extreme level,
get your attention,
and then it tells the story. What you already know, it's like you find the person dead, what happened.
Yeah
you kind of get the story. That's gonna be awesome.
That reminds me of that classic, like you find the guy, like the guy's narrating the story, but it's like a dead body floating in a pool, and he's like, that's me.
Right,
and I'm gonna tell you all about it.
Record scratch. How did we get here? You might be wondering. No, I do love that format though. I mean, that's gonna be totally badass.
Yeah, and because we did think about it, like almost like what would be as if you did a story like that, like show the ending first, the most important, craziest part.
Yes.
But it's the beginning.
Right.
Like that's the beginning of the story, is the wild part.
What other movies have done that? I know that there's some that I've watched before. I'm trying to think of. Where it gets like
Pulp Fiction is similar.
Yes. Yeah.
Similar,
yeah.
but they don't like show the ending first. They show the just a crazy moment.
A crazy moment, like Big Lebowski and the pissing on the carpet.
Yeah.
And then it just how the hell what's all behind. You just get that tiny little bit, like what the hell. And then the rest of the movie's explaining how you got there, man.
Filmmaking's awesome. I'm after this podcast, I'll show you a couple.
I'd like to see them. That'd be badass, dude, for sure.
Well, dude, thank you so much, man, for coming out. And
it's a pleasure, Will.
Podcast, dude. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Will.
Dude, it's been a pleasure, man. This has been Talking to Me, Talking to You. Thanks for watching.